Friends, welcome to our today's session. So far, we have understood how to compute capital gain, both long-term capital gain as well as short-term capital gain computation part we have studied. We also know that computation will follow a process like this. First of all, we need to arrive at what is the uh, consideration receipt. Then, if any expenditure is incurred for transfer, that has to be deducted. Then, therefrom, two major deductions. One is cost of acquisition, second is cost of improvement. And in case the capital asset which is transferred is long term, then you have to deduct indexed cost of acquisition and indexed cost of improvement. And rate of tax varies for short term, for long term, it varies. So rate of tax part also we have studied earlier. And we also know these capital gains are subject to certain exemptions. Certain kinds of capital gains are exempted. And today we'll be learning that exemptions things, right? Previous session I have broadly told you, broadly covered some exemptions, like exemptions which are there under section 10. We have already covered that thing, but there are some more exemptions which are there in section 54 series. Those things we will be learning today. We'll start learning that thing today. Going to share the screen with you right now. Previous class, I had shown you this chart where it says there are certain exemptions, a group of exemptions which are there under section 10, and some more exemptions are there under section 54 series. And section 10, these are the three kinds of exemptions. We know it earlier. Just a minute. If you summarize that thing, yeah. Okay. First one is 1033. It talks about capital gain or transfer of units of unit scheme 1964. That is exempt. Second provision, that is section 1037, talks about capital gain or compulsory acquisition of agricultural land situated in specified urban limits, urban agricultural land which is compulsorily acquired. That exemption also we had covered in the previous class. The third exemption talks about reverse mortgage, that is section 1043. That also, these concepts also I had explained in the previous class. So these are three exemptions which are provided under section 10 in relation to capital gains. Right? This part we had studied earlier. Is it not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Then under section 54 series, as you can look, there are series of deductions are there. One by one we will be learning. Some of the sections we will be able to cover today. Next part we will be covering in our next session. Right. So this is the summary of deduction, section 54, 54B, 54D, 54EC, and 54F. The summary part will be learning at a later stage. First, let us learn individually each of these sections. First deduction, first exemption you see, you can study. This is section 54. This talks about capital gain on sale of residential house. Okay. So as the title itself suggests, that means here some residential house which is a capital asset is transferred and there is a capital gain. And who can claim this exemption? Certain exemptions are allowed. Who can claim this exemption? As you can see, there are only two kinds of persons who can claim this exemption. Who are they? Can you read it out?
Individual and HUF.
Individual and HUF. Okay. No other person can avail this exemption. But there are certain conditions which needs to be complied. First of all, there should be a transfer of a residential house, not a commercial house. Okay. And house means buildings or land appertaining there. Okay. If it's a residential house, only building or land appertaining there too, then and it is used for residential purpose, that house should have been transferred. Second condition is that it must be long-term capital asset. You already know what is long-term and what is short-term. It should have been a long-term capital asset. Then only it will be eligible for this exemption. Then income from such house should be chargeable under the head income from house property. The income must be charged to income. Okay. So it must be chargeable under the head income from house property. If these conditions are met, then one more condition is also there. That is, first of all, this is the primary condition. It should be residential house, it should be long term, and it should be chargeable to income tax. Next, the house is transferred, right? There must be some capital gain. Then the capital gain need to be invested. Where it is to be invested? If the capital gain amounts exceeds rupees 2 crore. Okay, suppose house is sold for 15 crore. Okay, and the cost of acquisition, improvement, everything is 10 crore. So capital gain is 5 crore. 5 crore exceeds 2 crore. Okay, where the house capital gain exceeds 2 crore, one residential house in India should be purchased. That means in this case, the assessee should have purchased one residential house in India within 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. Suppose today house is transferred, at least 1 year before or 2 years after, another residential house must have been purchased. How many houses? One house. Okay. Or if purchased, then 1 year before, 2 years after. If the assessee is constructing the house, then house must have been constructed within 3 years after the date of acquisition. Did you understand this? We will find out what is the capital gain. If the capital gain is exceeding 2 crore, then the same amount must have been invested in another residential house. And that house must have been purchased 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. Or if the house is constructed, it should have been constructed within a period of 3 years after the date of transfer. Is it clear? This part is over. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This part you have understood. Now, you see, second situation is that if capital gain does not exceed 2, suppose capital gain is only 50 lakhs. That's capital gain of 50 lakhs. Okay, so it is not exceeding 2 crore. Then what option assessee is having? What you will invest? Assessee may purchase two residential houses. Not that he can invest in only one house, he can invest in 2 houses. If he wants, he can invest in 2 houses. Okay, that means either 1 or 2. Purchase 2 residential house within 1 year or within 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. So we'll find out date of transfer within 1 year prior to that or 2 years after that. The assessee must have purchased either 1 house or 2 houses for residential purposes. Or if the assessee is not purchasing, he is constructing, then he must have constructed either 1 or 2 residential houses within a period of 3 years from date of transfer. So for construction purposes, 3 years are allowed. 3 years period is allowed subsequent to date of transfer. But for purchase, 2 years period is allowed subsequent, and prior to that, within 1 year, assessee may purchase. Did you understand this provision? These conditions need to be met. I again repeat, assessee should be individual or HUF. The transport asset should be residential house. It must be long-term capital asset. And the house property income should have been chargeable to income from house property. And in case the capital gain is exceeding 2 crore, the money can be invested in another residential house. Okay. And that investment has to be made 1 year before or 2 years after if you are purchasing the house. Or within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer, if you are constructing the house. But however, if the capital gain doesn't exceed 2 crore, you can invest the same money in same form in 2 residential house if you want. It is the option. It is the option of the assessee. You can invest in 2 residential house. I think point is clear. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. And one more thing you have to remember, this is the option given to assessee to invest in 2 residential houses. If you want, you can invest in 2 small houses. Right, you see. But the option of investing 2 residential houses will be given to assessee only once. Okay, let us say assessee sold a house invested the capital gain in 2 residential houses. And again, these two, out of these 2 residential houses, he's selling one. Again, he cannot invest in another 2 residential houses. The investment of 2 residential houses is given to assessee. Only that option is given to assessee for once only, for once. Okay. Now you see. Now I told you the money has to be invested either in case of purchase within a period of 1 year prior to date of transfer, or within a period of 2 years after the date of transfer. Is it? And in case of constructing, within a period of 3 years from date of transfer. Right? Okay? Okay. Did you understand?
Yes.
Right. Now you see. Now, till that time, okay, before that, assessee has, assessee, let us say, keep on investing, or assessee has kept money for investment purpose, because he has time, he can purchase in 2 years, or he can construct in 3 years. Right? But in case investment has not been made before the date of filing of return of income, let us say assessment year is over on 31st March, let us say 31st March 2021, assessment year is over. There is a capital gain he need to invest, and assessee needs to file return before 31st July. But before July, he has not filed. So in case there may be capital gain, there is a capital gain, then how assessee will file income tax return? How will assess his income? Okay. So here there is an option. If the assessee has not invested the capital gain, if assessee has invested the entire money, let us say assessee has purchased the house before July, then fine. He can avail the exemption. Otherwise, what the assessee can do, assessee can keep that capital gain amount in an account open under capital gain account scheme. Okay, it is called as CAGS, that is capital gain account scheme. CGS, this is CGS. Okay, the title that is spelled CGS, capital gain account scheme. So whatever is the capital gain, he can park that money, keep that money in an account under capital gain account scheme, and he can withdraw that money and get the house constructed and purchased. Did you understand? The amount so invested, amount so deposited in capital gain account scheme shall be deemed to be the cost of new asset. So when filing the return, he will show that I have not invested, but I have kept the money in capital gain account scheme. Okay, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Now, what will be the amount of exemption? If the cost of residential house means new residential house, which assessee is buying or constructing, is more than the long-term gain, then entire long-term capital gain is exempt. This is for long-term capital gain. Let us say long-term capital gain is 5 lakh rupees, and assessee has cost of new for long-term capital gain, let us assume 50 lakh rupees, and the entire long-term capital gain is invested. Assessee purchases a new house either 50 lakh or for 60 lakh. The entire capital gain will be exempt. But in case the cost of new residential house is less than long-term capital gain is 50 lakh, but assessee has invested 40 lakh. Then only to the extent of investment, that means only 40 lakh will be exempt. Understood? Okay. If the assessee is investing the entire capital gain, then entire capital gain is exempted. But if the assessee is investing a part of the capital gain, then only that part is exempted. So no tax, no capital gain tax will be levied on that. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it clear to you? Now, here is two more examples are there. Let us say if the long-term capital gain is 2.5 crore and the cost of new asset is 3 crore. That means investment is more than long-term capital gain. Then the entire long-term capital gain of 2.05 crore is exempt. Okay. Another example. If the long-term capital gain is 2.5 crore, but the cost of new house is only 1.55 crore, that means the entire long-term capital gain is not invested, then exemption will be only up to 1.5. The balance, rupees 50 lakh, will be taxable. Since it is long-term, it will be taxable at the rate of 20%. Understood this example?
Yes, sir.
You see, this is a very popular tax planning measure. When assessing if individual or HUF is transferring a residential house, then if he can adopt this method, then he can possibly avoid the entire capital gain tax. Okay, just he has to invest in another residential house. And if it is less than 2 crore, he can buy 2 houses also. And by doing so, entire capital gain tax can be avoided. Is it not a good tax planning measure?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. It is a good tax planning measure you have seen. But you see, the new house which is acquired, on which money is invested, there is a condition that should not be transferred within a period of 3 years. If the new asset is transferred before 3 years from the date of its acquisition or construction, then cost of asset will be reduced by capital gain exempted earlier. For example, let us say you acquired a new house for 50 lakh. Right? Earlier, the capital gain was also 50 lakh, that was exempted. And now within 3 years, you are transferring this new house. After 3 years, you can transfer. No, within 3 years, you are transferring the new house. When you are transferring the new house, what will be the cost of acquisition? You need cost of acquisition. Consideration you will be getting minus cost of acquisition. Cost of acquisition in this case will be nil because cost of acquisition is 50 lakh, but 50 lakh was exempted earlier. So whatever amount was exempted, that will be reduced from the cost. Okay. So when a new asset is acquired, that should not be disposed of. Ideally, that should not be transferred within a period of 3 years. That has to be kept as it is for 3 years. Okay, okay, friends, did you understand this? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, if you summarize what we learned here under section 54, who can claim exemption? An individual or HUF. What should be the property? Long-term residential house. Money should be invested in one residential house situated in India or 2 residential houses in India, provided the capital gain doesn't exceed 2 crores. How much exempt? Investment in new asset or capital gain, whichever is lower. If the new asset is transferred within 3 years of its acquisition, exemption will be taken back, meaning the exempted amount will be considered as the cost, will be reduced from the cost. And for calculating capital gain on transfer of new asset, cost of acquisition will be calculated as original cost of acquisition minus exemption arbitrage. Okay, this is how the exemption benefit can be adjusted, which has taken that can be adjusted. This is the summary. And in case money is not invested, that can be kept in capital gain account scheme. Understood this provision? Section 54, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, friends, let us move to the next section, next tax planning measure. This is section 54B. And you see, this benefit or this exemption can again be availed by 2 categories of person. Who are they? Who can avail this? Individual and HUF. Earlier one was also individual and HUF, but that was for residential house property, that to long term. But here, which property we are talking about?
Agricultural land, urban agricultural land.
Urban agricultural land. You already know, earlier we have studied, rural agricultural land is not a capital asset. So it will not be taxed at all. So now we are talking about urban agricultural land, and here nowhere it is mentioned that it should be held for long term. Okay, and it talks about urban agricultural land, but you have to see such land must have been used for agricultural purposes by the assessee. Either assessee must be using for it, or individual or his or his parents might be using that thing, or HUA must be using that particular land in 2 years immediately preceding the date of transfer. So within 2 years before the date of transfer, the property must have been used for agricultural purposes by either by assessee or by his parent or by the HUA. And during the 2 years, assessee need not be the owner. He might have taken the land on lease, might be using it for agricultural purpose. Here the law says the assessee must be using it for agricultural purposes. Okay. And in case this agricultural land is transferred, he should purchase another agricultural land within 2 years from the date of transfer. So one agricultural land is transferred. Then he should acquire another agricultural land within a period of 2 years. And this new agricultural land need not be urban again. It can be urban, it can be rural also. Okay. And in case the new agricultural land has not been acquired before the date of filing of return, then money can be kept in capital gain account scheme. Then whatever money which is kept in capital account scheme, that will be deemed that it has been invested in purchasing the eligible asset. Purchasing eligible asset is another agricultural land. Did you understand this point? Urban agricultural land should have been used for agriculture purpose within in 2 years immediately preceding the date of transfer. Another agricultural land, whether urban or rural, should have been acquired. And if the money has not been invested, that can be kept in capital gain account scheme. Okay, did you understand this conditions?
Yes, sir.
Now, friends, you see, how much is exempt? It is very similar to our earlier provision 54, but 54 was for residential house. This is for urban agricultural land. If the cost of new agricultural land is more than or equal to capital gain, that means if the entire capital gain is invested, then the entire capital gain is exempt. But if the cost of new agricultural land is less than the capital gain, then to the extent the cost of new agricultural land is exempt. For example, if capital gain is 3 lakh and the cost of new agricultural land is 4 lakh, then entire 3 lakh is exempt because entire 3 lakh is invested. But however, if the capital gain is 3 lakh, but cost of new agricultural land is 2 lakh, 3 lakh is the capital gain, but 2 lakh is invested, then only 2 lakh will be exempted. Okay. Did you understand? So this provision is similar to our earlier provision 54. Let me summarize what we have done in section 54B. As you have seen, this exemption is also allowed to an individual and HUA. And the asset which is transferred may be short term or maybe long term, but it should be agricultural land, urban agricultural land, which has been used for individual for the purpose, for agricultural purpose 2 years immediately prior to transfer. Okay. Rural agricultural land is anyway exempt, so it should be urban agricultural land. Agricultural land, and then the new investment, when new asset is acquired, that may be rural, may be urban. But if you acquire rural asset, then you will be in an advantageous position because in rural asset, further when you make further transfer, there will not be any capital gain tax because rural agricultural land is out of purview of capital gain. Right. And this new asset should have been acquired within 2 years from the date of transfer. And how much you should invest? The entire amount of capital gain. If less amount is invested, then amount of capital gain or amount invested, whichever is lower, that will be exempted. And here again, this new asset should not be transferred within a period of 3 years. If it is transferred, the exemption will be taken back. Exemption will be taken back means for calculating cost of acquisition, then whatever is the exemption which is allowed, that will be deducted from that cost. Okay. Therefore, the new agricultural land should not be transferred before 3 years. If it is transferred, then for cost of acquisition, the exemption which is allowed earlier will be deducted. But again, if the new agricultural agricultural land is rural, then when you transfer that rural agricultural cultural land, there will not be any capital gain tax. So this withdrawal of exemption doesn't applicable there. This point also you have to remember. Is it clear, friend? Is it clear up to this? 54 and 54.
Yes.
Okay, this is also one more tax planning measure. If urban agricultural land is transferred, then one can quickly acquire another agricultural land, maybe in urban area or maybe in rural area, and can avoid tax. Now, we'll learn next point. This is the capital gain on transfer by way of compulsory acquisition of land. Compulsory acquisition of land and building in an industrial undertaking. And as you can see, this provision is allowed, or this exemption is allowed to any assets. Previous two sections was only for individuals and HU. And this is for compulsory acquisition, not a voluntary transfer. Here, condition is that there must be compulsory acquisition of land and building, or any right to use that land and building. And the land and building should have been used by the assessee for the purpose of business of industrial undertaking. Okay, and should have been used in 2 years immediately preceding the transfer. So it must be used for commercial purposes, for the purpose of business. Okay, if that has happened, the assessee is since last 2 years using it as an industrial undertaking, now it is compulsorily acquired. Then assessee must purchase any other land or building or construct any building within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer. Now, assessee has to shift the business. Is it not? Then he should, within a period of 3 years, purchase or construct another land building, purchase another land or building, or construct another building. That should have been done. And in case, before the date of filing of the return, the money has not been invested in purchase or construction, then the money can be deposited in capital gain account scheme. Okay. And money which is deposited in capital gain account scheme shall be considered as if it is invested as the cost of new asset. So one can claim the benefit of this exemption by purchasing or constructing or keeping money in capital gain account scheme. How much will be amount? How much will be exemption? If the cost of new asset is more than the capital gain, then the entire capital gain is exempt. And if the cost of new asset is less than capital gain, then to the extent cost of new asset is exempt. Okay. And this exemption from transfer of capital gain would be available even in respect of short-term capital asset, being land and building. Okay. So it is also allowed for short-term capital assets. Because condition here is that asset must be used in 2 years, but not necessarily it should be used in the capacity of an owner. If it is used for industrial undertaking and ownership wise is a short-term capital asset, still then one can avail this benefit. But here again, the additional condition is that the new asset, that means new land and building where industrial undertaking is started now, that should not be transferred before 3 years from the date of acquisition. If it is transferred, then cost of assets will be reduced by the capital gain exempted earlier. when the new asset is transferred, for calculating the cost of the new asset, capital gain, which is exempted earlier, shall be reduced. If I summarize this provision, 54D, you see, it is allowed to any taxpayer. Okay. And the asset which is transferred is land and building forming a part of industrial undertaking and which is compulsorily acquired and which is used for 2 years for industrial undertaking. And the new asset should also be land or building for industrial purposes. And the new asset should have been acquired within 3 years from the date of receipt of compensation. Okay, from the date of receipt of compensation, not from the date of transfer. Okay, and if the entire capital gain is invested, not the entire receipt, entire money which is received, but the entire capital gain. If the entire capital gain is invested, then entire capital gain is exempted. But if part of the capital gain is exempted, to the extent, if the part of the capital gain is invested, then to the extent it is invested, to that extent it will be exempted. But additional condition is that the new asset should not be transferred within a period of 3 years from its acquisition. If it is transferred, the capital gain which is exempted earlier shall be reduced from the cost of the new asset. This is the provision of section 54D. Did you understand? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So you see, 3 sections we covered now. Section 54. 54 is for residential house. Okay, that is for individual and HA. Then 54B. 54B is for urban agricultural land. This is also for individual and HA. Then 54D. 54D is for industrial undertaking. And this is allowed to any assessee. Okay, if I show you quickly a comparison, you can have a comparison like this. 54, 54B, 54D. Only these 3 things now you watch. This is allowed. First case, it is allowed to individual and HF. Second case, individual to HF. Third case, any assets. Which assets to be transferred? Here, residential house, that will be long-term capital asset. 54B, urban agricultural land. 54D, land and building forming a part of industrial undertaking. Okay. Other conditions you see, income of the house should be chargeable to income. Assessee should be using it for 2 years immediately before for agricultural purposes. Then assessee must be using for business purpose 2 years immediately preceding the compulsory acquisition. And what is the qualifying asset? You know, another residential house, 1 or 2 cases, depends. Okay.